JB, your article in the Athletic came out recently on general managers on the hot seat, and there's a number of them going into the deadline that obviously there's always pressure to make deals, but there are some that stood out and have stood out in terms of guys that are on the hot seat. A couple of them here, let's get through them. And by the way, we can take phone calls here the rest of the way, 866-652-6696. We're talking trade deadline. We can talk a little bit about the GMs on the hot seat if you want. Feel free to give us a ring. Or you can call us. You can text us at that number as well. Just make sure you let us know your name and where you are. But a couple guys that stood out to me. Mike Elias, general manager of the Orioles. He's made a couple of trades. Still, a couple of his main guys are still available, but he did trade Gregory Soto the other day to the Mets. They're going to be active. I don't think they're the expiring contracts is what he told us last week. He was going to be passive on the other guys. Then Bautista was a guy that they were getting a lot of phone calls on. He had said that he wasn't likely to move him, but then he ended up going on the injured list this week. So that was a blow if you wanted to trade him. Zach Eflin's a guy just off the injured list. But take us through here your thoughts on the type of pressure, because he's had a down season, a really bad season overall with the expectations, and he's got a new owner he's trying to navigate through here.
Yeah, so look, I think the most pressure is on Mike Elias and any executive that's out there. And he's got a lot to sell, and so how he does is going to be big. You mentioned the Soto deal that he made with the Mets for Welling, Aracena, and Cameron Foster, two minor league pitchers. The other trade he made that you're referring to is when you and I were at the draft. He dealt he dealt Brian Baker to the Rays for a competitive balance pick, which he ended up drafting a really good high school outfielder, which was a really good trade. So for them, I think next on the docket is Ryan O'Hearn, who besides Suarez is probably the next best bat that could be moved. Cedric Mullins is a free agent at the end of the year. It's another player that could get moved. And then Charlie Morton is one that's being talked about quite a bit. Yeah. Sir Anthony Dominguez is a reliever that we're hearing probably is going to get moved as well. So I would say those four names are the next four to go in all likelihood. And I think there's significant pressure on Mike to do well at this trade deadline. So, I think that's what we're looking at. Now, he'll listen on other players as well, but, there had been some rumors where people have thrown out, maybe they'll trade Adley Rutschman, or maybe that. No, that's not happening, right? Right. I think you made it pretty clear, and Mike did with us last week. The first priority is expiring contracts. Not that he won't listen on anybody, but I think what you're going to see is O'Hearn, Mullins, Morton, Dominguez as the next four to go, and I think he has to get good returns here. Now, the other GM I want to ask you about, the second guy I have on my list in terms of pressure is Ben Cherington of Pittsburgh. And we're getting mixed reports coming out of Pittsburgh. So I initially thought they were definitely going to trade Mitch Keller, David Bednar, and Dennis Santana. They're three really good pitchers. Keller's a starter. The other two are relievers. Bednar's a closer, of course. And there's so many teams that want those guys, right? The Cubs really want Keller. The Blue Jays really want Keller. In terms of the relievers, you've got the Mets and the Phillies and the Tigers, Dodgers are all playing on those guys. I have a hard time believing that they can't get six really good players back for those three. And given where in their standings, I think they need to. But then we keep hearing that Ben is reluctant to trade the pitching because concerned about what the team is going to look like the last 2 months of the year and what that could do to his job status. The other wild card is Bob Nutting going to let him deal those guys? Right. So the Pirates, to me, there's a lot of pressure, not just on Ben Cherington, but I think there's a lot of pressure on Bob Nutting too. And I think you have to find a way to get a bat. Now, I've heard they've shopped Brian Reynolds, Gabriel Hayes, O'Neill Cruz. So then when I asked for clarification on that, what I heard was they're just doing their due diligence and are listening on everybody. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to trade anybody. But I kind of feel like after Mike Elias, Ben Cherington has the most pressure on him. Yeah. I mean, this is a last place team with one of the worst offenses in baseball. I think he's got to do something to make this offense better at the trade deadline. What do you think?
So I agree. They need offense badly. Here's my issue with that, and I agree with you. It's been louder the information on his status, I thought he was okay going in this year. The problem when he ended up making the move with Derek Shelton was they haven't played all that much better, record-wise, with Don Kelly there. And now the focus becomes you, the general manager, and some of the moves and the effect, the fact that the team still hasn't been playing well. Now he's been there for 6 years in this rebuild. I mean, if you move Keller, you're in essence rebuilding again, aren't you? Like, I feel like, unless you've got some young starters that you're going to bring up and introduce, and they have some younger starters, but like your rebuild is going to be, it's still a couple years away, but at least you could try to sell your owner that, hey, listen, I want to keep Keller because it helps us win sooner than a couple years from now. And that's the thing. We don't know those conversations behind the scenes, but like I initially would say, yeah, go ahead, move Keller. But man, you're making yourself weaker the next year or two. It seems
how
like
are you any weaker than what you look like right now? I mean, look at this team.
You're
a last place team. I'm glad you have some pitching, but you're a last place
Right.
team. You have no balance. You got Bubba Chandler that can pitch in the big leagues right now, and you're going to get Jared Jones back at some point next year. So you should, in theory, have Skeens, right, and Bubba
Right.
Chandler and Jared Jones, which would give you 3 solid starters to build around. But
Right.
you can't sit there with this lineup, and expect to go anywhere. Now, the good news is you got Connor Griffin going, which, as I said during the draft, he's the best prospect in baseball right now. I said that with you and Grant Paulson at draft time. That's what he's become. Like, this guy's a superstar. That's exciting that he's coming. Love that. But I don't need to see Tommy Pham and Brian Hayes and Henry Davis and Isaiah kind of Falefa. That's your bottom 4 of your lineup. That's what you have. And Adrian McCutcheon's going to turn 39 in a few months. Brian Reynolds is over 30 now, right? I mean, and O'Neal Cruz should be playing right field, not center field. And at some point, he needs to develop, right?
Right.
So I just think if I'm sitting there in the chair, this isn't working. So Keller, Haney, Bednar, Santana, they're all gone from me. I'm going to shop them everywhere. I got a chance to turn that foursome into 8. Right? And I'll listen on everybody they have. Outside, I actually would consider trading Skeens, to be honest. If the Dodgers, or if someone's going to give me their farm system, I would trade, because you're not going to win with them. And by the time you trade him, you got to get there quicker. But he's not going to go. That's fine. I would trade O'Neal Cruz if someone wants to overpay. Right? I'd offer him. And if the New York Yankees want to call up and they want to give me Lombard and Spencer Jones and okay, all right. Like, I wouldn't be married to anyone. If you're not going to trade Skeens, fine, I get it, right? He's your draw. He's the ace. He's a superstar. But I sure as heck would listen. If somebody wanted to give me their farm system, if I could make a Herschel Walker trade, I would. Because you know what fans want at the end of the day? They want to win. They want to win. And we're not doing anything to win. So, in the meantime, what is realistic are the 4 guys we just mentioned. And you got to be aggressive. You should not care about what this year looks like. You should only care about how you can make the 26 team, the 27 team, the 28 team. You should care about how can I become contenders again? How can I be with Milwaukee, Chicago, and Cincinnati?